discovered that addiction is hereditary.
When I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was 25, I was shattered.
It helped me in feeding the children their school lunches and helping preparing meals at home.
It's such a beautiful thing when we're able to bring all these different, groups of people together because there can be a lot of, negativity in the world.
This was a slow and progressive and systematic allowing of a person to die.
I'm Leah Bolton.
I'm Atwal. Fraser Focus, a fresh perspective beyond the bridge.
Hey guys, welcome to Fraser Focus, local faces and local places. I'm Leah Bolton.
And I'm Atwal. On this show, we strive to tell stories that are often overlooked by mainstream media.
Right now we are in Surrey. We cover stories all throughout the Fraser region.
From Delta all the way out to Hope. Let's get to it.
I'm here in Surrey at the Bell Centre, where hundreds of students are gathering to raise awareness towards mental health. It's called Balancing Your Mind.
The stigma around mental health has been around for too many years, and it's time we start to break it. Mental health disorders genetically stretch back to my parents, grandparents, and most likely beyond. From manic episodes as a child, self-esteem issues as a preteen, to on and off bouts of depression up to current day, I've always had some sort of problem.
It's an event being hosted by the Surrey School District and local community partners to really build awareness about mental health and mental well-being among Surrey students. And we're hoping to start a conversation about how we reduce stigma around mental health.
So I'm going to pass it along to Lori to welcome our next guest. We will have the Delta School Group. Lori.
Says she's going to kill herself. What? No way. I can't take it anymore. It hurts too much. I'm broken. Goodbye. That can mean anything. No, it means she's done.
This was a project that we developed over the last 7 or 8 months. The way we did it is that students researched by going out and meeting with community professionals. So police officers, healthcare professionals, counselors, parents of a girl with an eating disorder, just all kinds of people. And they used that information to make their show.
Gross and weird.
So that is something you did?
Yeah, this is the first time we did something with such an important message, and at first it's kind of iffy, like scary, like you're not sure how it's going to go.
What did you say to her? What did you do?
But in the end it was really worth doing it, just because it did bring a lot of really good messages.
They discovered that addiction is hereditary.
So when I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was 25, I was shattered. I had a suicide attempt.
Her drinking and her mother's erratic behavior had them fighting all the time. In grade 11, her mother kicked her out of the house. Still, she managed to graduate with over $10,000 in scholarships, except that no one knew a time bomb was ticking.
And when I healed and got better, I just wanted to share my personal story. It started off with one classroom with 15 students in an alternative school, and now today I've spoken to 13,000 students. So it's been really amazing.
How cool was that?
We have basically been supporting each community to have their own local action team made up of youth, parents, professionals. The different ministries are involved: Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Children and Family Development, policing, the Indigenous communities. We have got them all coming together to one table to talk about how they're going to be able to improve access to treatment, improve access to mental health and resources. And some of them are putting on events like this to break down the stigma and break down the barriers, and then provide resource tables like these so youth and families know where they can turn to when they are in need of help.
I was having such a terrifying time with my anxiety. I was struggling with eating.
I think a lot of people go through this. It's surprising actually how many people are going through this and you don't necessarily notice it.
It's a therapy group. It's not a drum class. And a lot of kids who are embarrassed or just not confident enough to state their feelings vocally find a voice on the drum.
So many interesting people here in the Fraser region, Dean.
That's right, you're watching Fraser Focus, bringing you stories from beyond the bridge. We'll be right back.
I started here in Abbotsford in the spring of 2013. As of yesterday, we're in 15 BC communities.
Hey guys, welcome back to Fraser Fraser Focus, local faces in local places and local noises.
That's right, time for us to report on another story that is often overlooked by mainstream media.
Kids are going hungry at home on the weekend, and so they're coming to school on Monday morning hungry, and that was unacceptable. My daughter, who is a school teacher in kindergarten, phoned me one day and said, "Dad, I'm feeding half my class every single day, and what are you going to do about it?" And so that started the initial program where we had 6 kids at Godson Elementary School, and we did a pilot project for 1 year.
When we came out here just over a year ago, the Starfish program had just been introduced into Aldergrove.
Yes.
What's happened since then?
Aldergrove was the second community to launch Starfish. It started here in Abbotsford in the spring of 2013. As of yesterday, we're in 15 BC communities. We've had conversations with a number of communities in Washington State. We've had conversations in Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Ontario. We've had calls as far away as PEI. She's perfectly timed, so it's all good.
The Rotary came to us and talked to us about a need in our elementary schools. We had students going to school without food. We dealt with those in the school, but the issue was on weekends. Kids would go home when they're not at school and not have any food over the weekend, and it was very difficult for some of the families.
I've actually seen a couple of the kids running around the streets with them on their stomachs and eating the food, and it just brings a smile to my face, and I'm just happy that they're happy. So.
How can they learn when they're hungry? So I think that we not only feed them on the weekend, but in a lot of cases we're also feeding the families, which really bridges the gap.
It helped me in feeding the children their school lunches and helping preparing meals at home.
And how many children are there that we're talking about?
2.
And these are your 2 grandchildren?
Yes. The children now are 8 and 7. And they're both special needs children, so this really helps out a lot.
Wendy and Trinity.
So somebody does this every week. Somebody packs this backpack for you every week. How does that make you feel?
Happy. Thankful. Thankful.
Really not that much. We didn't get supported that much, but now we get food every single day.
Tell me about the 2 children that you have living with you.
Well, the first one is Tristan. He loves to play hockey. He loves to be, he loves bowling. Bella, she's bubbly, she's joyful, she's in dance. She's just learning to do ballet. The Starfish program enabled me to have that finance to be able to put these kids into the programs that they're in.
A lot of people tend to focus on the calories we send home every week, but we're seeing impacts that we, quite frankly, never expected to have happen. We're seeing attendance levels go up. We're seeing attention levels go up in the classroom. We're seeing academic outcomes that we never expected.
So it's not just about keeping these kids full. It's the impacts afterwards.
The impact is the calories open the door to a conversation, and the conversation in a community is what's an acceptable number of kids in our community going hungry, and what are we going to do about it?
Now, if people want to get involved, if people want more information,
the quickest, simplest way to find out about how a Starfish program could be brought to a new community is to go to www.starfishpack.com.
I love these stories, always a positive perspective here on Fraser Focus.
Yeah, we could find good news all day. We'll be right back here on Fraser Focus in a moment.
Music is one of those things that it completely breaks down all of those barriers.
Hey guys, welcome back to Fraser Focus, local faces and local places. Right now I'm here in Wally. I'm here with a local hip-hop artist and he is freestyling right now.
Looking at society with a different point of view. Seems like we all conforming, afraid of the voice of truth, trapped in the system, so I guess we can't be blamed, always lacking the wisdom to see that we need to change.
Music's not an easy thing to make a career of.
Not at all, and you know, that's the thing with music, is that if you want to make a career out of it, you know, I tell anybody, you know, that you can't just be a musician. You have to be a businessman, you have to be the manager, you have to be the, you know, you kind of know how to to market yourself as a business as well, if you want to make any money off of it. And, you know, I've been doing it for, you know, almost a decade now, and I'm just recently now I'm starting to actually get money from it. It's taken me a long time.
Some of them around. Came to the side. Didn't make a sound. Now I'm getting ready to make some noise and then get the engine burning. I was eager to raise my voice, but I was just observing. Now I'm coming up in the back with the flow here. See me running up and I act like I'm so.
I had something called the Hazmat Crew, which was a collective basically of a group of me and my friends that made music together. And after seeing James at a couple of events here and there, realized that musically and personality-wise that his style and music kind of fit in with the same kind of message we were trying to convey, as well as the same kind of, you know, just the same outlook on it, so to speak.
Yeah, you know it's Jay crossing of the hazmat. I be in the dark with my hood like Batman. You don't even know how I played this. Well, I'm coming through with positivity as I say this, cause I just wanna say something that is positive, and I just wanna come with my lyrical dominance.
Tell me what he was like as a student here.
Jamie, as a student, he was 100% dedicated. He would come into the music room, which we're sitting in right now. There's a recording studio just behind you, behind the camera.
Ooh.
And he would sit in there for hours and hours and hours and just work and work and work on his music, on his craft. He put up this Kurt Cobain picture, which is still here in his memory.
Oh, nice.
And basically, I think we had a sofa in here at one point too, so it was a really comfortable studio, and it, I guess it kind of made it a home away from home for the kid too.
Okay, so this is the studio and whatnot.
This is where the magic was made. He would just work, like I said, countless hours, hours and hours and hours, and when you have a passion for something, you just go at it, and you just don't stop, and that's where success is made.
Know what your worth is, negativity in your heart. I'll be stopping you, get some ability in the start. It's a beautiful thing when we're able to bring all these different, you know, groups of people together, because there can be a lot of, you know, negativity in the world and a lot of bickering and fighting over differences without realizing that these differences are what make us human. Yo, how many people love this community? And ultimately, as much as there's all these differences in the world and opinions and beliefs, at the end of the day, we're still all human. And with music, music is one of those things that it completely breaks down all of those barriers, and it brings it to the point where we're just human. You're in the crowd, you're having a good time, you're watching us perform, and that makes us happy, and that's what gratifies us when we go on stage. But I just keep flowing on and going strong.
How did he do?
Good.
Pretty good?
Good. You never up in the whatever.
Contact.
Striking the mic and I'm hype when I write and you biting like freaking
Ranas.
Never compete when I get on the beat up and bringing the heat.
LeBron, yeah.
Awesome. We'll be right back here on Fraser Focus in a moment.
I told her how sorry I was that I hadn't been able to help her. So I had told her we were going to get her out of there. They're so indifferent. These are human beings.
Hey guys, welcome back to Fraser Focus, local faces and local places. As you can tell, we have a large population of Zoomers in the area. So we touch base with CARP, Canadian Association of Retired Persons, and we discuss Alzheimer's.
What are you looking for? In the beginning, I was having trouble at work. I'd be told to go and do a certain job. Well, I would get there and then I'd leave it to do another job. Okay, the kettle has boiled, so we'll bring that over here. And we'll get ready to make the coffee.
He functions really very well. He's very high functioning. The memory is not so wonderful. He forgets things very easily, and I repeat things a lot.
But, so, have you, how many scoops?
Yeah, in the coffee.
How many did you put in, do you know?
6.
I guess it's going to be what it's going to be.
You know, I read Still Alice. I've been a little bit aware of what's going on with dementia, but I've certainly heard people say that once someone has dementia, that there's really no point in interacting with them. Is that true?
Absolutely not.
It certainly is a disease that changes the way that we're able to communicate and the way that we're able to interact with the world around us, especially as the disease progresses. But this is a progressive disease, meaning that early on in the disease, somebody might be able to have a conversation pretty much the same as they've always had.
Ever thought of having your hair done? There's the next one.
No.
This one? For you?
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff.
I'm your favorite granddaughter, right?
I know that.
See, she knows that. That's the most important.
It gets tough to deal with at times, but we have to deal with it.
But she still knows who you are.
At times, yeah, most of the time.
Hopefully she only remembers the good stuff, though, right?
Well, no, unfortunately, she remembers a lot of the bad things.
It's a phone.
It's her phone, yeah.
It's a phone, a telephone.
Most people think of Alzheimer's, they think, okay, you're just forgetful. You forget your keys, you forget. Is that the main thing?
No, it's, she slows down, like, as you can see, all her needlework here.
Okay.
Now, today she couldn't do any of that. She can't even read the charts anymore.
Look, there's Laura, and there's, there's Brandon, your great-grandson.
Just because somebody isn't able to understand what's going on around them and respond in a verbal way doesn't mean they don't understand what's going on around them in other ways. I think the worst thing we can do is talk about people with dementia like they aren't there.
I'll zip down to get her hearing aids.
Grandpa's going to get your hearing aids so you can be part of the conversation.
Okay.
Dementia is a real concern for our CART members. Unfortunately, we know that there's no cure, but it sounds like there are some things people can do for prevention.
So anytime you learn something new, and the harder you have to try at learning that thing, the more you're really forming those new neural pathways or new connections in the brain. Learning a new language, absolutely a great strategy. Learning to play music, Sudoku, crossword puzzles.
Just keep active socially. I try to read. That gets tiring. And when I'm reading a book, oh, now who's this character?
Can you hear now? Yeah? Can you hear? Can you hear now?
Yeah, I heard you.
Oh, good. They work.
There's so many people affected by Alzheimer's in Canada, BC, and here in the Fraser region. If you're looking for more information, you can check out alzheimers.ca or our CARP website.
My mother was one of 5 sisters. She was 93 years old. She was very active and singing and participating in her group home. You know, she ended up having some issues, and then eventually we had to put her into a care home. I just had a sense of this not being, it smelt of urine. It was a very old facility. It just really did not feel like a very good place. She fairly quickly started to become confused. I'm talking within about a month or so. Her clothes that she was being put in were always rumpled, but in the beginning we were noticing her teeth were not well cleaned, and there seemed to be sufficient staff, but we always found our mother kind of just left alone, or they were putting her in bed all the time.
What are some of the challenges that people face when it comes to long-term care?
It's really difficult to provide good care to seniors when you're trying to get them up in the morning, bathe them, feed them, toilet them. There just aren't enough hours in the day, and we've been really pushing government hard to take care of this real lack of staff in our care facilities.
Hi.
A recent study from the BC Seniors Advocate pointed to a number of issues. First of all, seniors were being disempowered. Less than half of them were consulted about the medication that they're on. They weren't able to eat when they want. They weren't generally being able to bathe as frequently as they wanted. And even toileting when they wanted was very difficult for many.
We knew that she had had a little bit of a pressure wound because we were informed of this, but it was something they said, you know, we've got it, it's under control, don't worry. The day my mom died, I had called in the morning and I was going to come and visit with her. My mother was in the wheelchair all alone in that room by herself. And she was slumped over I sat down beside her and I took her hand, and her hand was still warm and she was trying to squeeze my hand. When we got her to the ER, they said, "Are you aware of the condition of your mom?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." Then I heard one saying, "That wound is probing to the bone." My mom's legs and arms were just covered in bruises. I had told her we were going to get her out of there. My friend and I each took her hand. I told her how sorry I was that I hadn't been able to help her and make her death be a better one, and that she could let go. And she did, like that.
For those individuals who are unable to care for themselves and find themselves in long-term care, it's incumbent on you and me to speak out and to fight for these people that can't speak for themselves.
Your mother just passed away, and you found out some information.
Yeah, she fell out of bed because they didn't put the bars up, and she fractured her neck. My sister sent me pictures. My poor mom, 83 years old, black and blue, and they x-rayed her and found that she had her neck broken. The care in that facility was so poor, was going nuts trying to find some other place for my mom. But
is it hard to get them in?
Yes, it is. The waiting lists are unbelievable.
Wow.
Because we're an aging population and there are no beds available. There's not even palliative care in Ontario.
I couldn't wish that upon anybody to die that way. I could not believe that human beings that are entrusted to take care of people, somehow they're so indifferent. These are human beings being deprived of basic food, being deprived of just dignity, being kept clean. This was a slow and progressive and systematic allowing of a person to die. It's kind of like a passive euthanasia. And it can't just have happened to her.
Another collection of fine stories from here in the Fraser region.
And that is it for this episode of Fraser Focus, bringing you stories from beyond the bridge.
If you have a story that you'd like us to share, please feel free to contact us. I'm Dean Atwal.
And I'm Leah Bolton. We'll see you next week.